Fraley, the O-line and run game coordinator for the Detroit Lions, and they put a whooping. You see there's some pancake residue from our last segment. If you didn't see it, go back and check it out. You'll see why my man Hank, why is he pointing? Because he's telling, hey, you take your guy from right here and take him 10 yards that way. And that's exactly what the Lions did to the Ravens all night long. Let's go, Hank.
Roll the highlight. We can.
Honey bun.
We start on Monday Night Football with Derrick Henry. Both teams had a running game going early. It was 7-0 Lions. Now it's 7-7 at the end of the first quarter. Then David Montgomery, and here's what you're talking about with the running game of the Lions opening holes.
He doesn't even have to slow down, just right between guard to guard. Take that thing 10 up the gut.
This was a drive that began inside their own 2-yard line. It was a 98-yard drive, 10 minutes, 48 seconds. And so it's 14-7 Lions. Now the other way, Domonique, the Ravens on a fourth down and they're stuffed.
Yeah, Lamar was having trouble all night with understanding the coverages, and they were doing an excellent job getting pressure on him and getting him to the ground, which feels impossible.
Jack Campbell knocking the ball loose as well, but the Ravens defense holds. They get a 3-and-out. Baltimore comes right back down, and they get the touchdown to Rashad Bateman.
Yeah, you can't give Lamar too many chances in the red zone. He gonna score.
So we're tied at 14, and then third quarter, same score. And J-Mac, it is Lamar, it's Mark Andrews, and the Ravens are out in front.
And this is a dot. He puts this right on the money. Mark Andrews flexing in the end zone after that one.
Here come the tricky Lions. We've come to love it over the years.
Gotta love it. Little throwback, but look, Goff was smart, didn't try to press it, took what was there.
That was for St. Brown, and so is this one. Amon-Ra, corner of the end zone. We're tied at 21, and they're just getting started. Next Lions drive. Montgomery right up the gut.
Does he even have to slow that between guard to guard? Take that same thing 70 plus again. That is a thing of beauty. Backed up. Don't worry about it, fellas. We're just going to take it inch by inch. That's what I'm talking about.
72 yards. Now we switch sides. Goes to the fourth quarter. Lions 4th and 1. They always go for it. Look at this play.
Yeah, they have a couple plays in their back pocket for important downs and important situations. I know that they said if we're in a short yardage situation and it's important, we're going to do this. Yep. They had another one for another 4th and short, another kind of tricky play to get it done later.
Lions up 7, and now here come the Ravens. That is the second fourth quarter fumble for Derrick Henry in 3 games this season. Critical mistake. Lions at a field goal. Henry's having trouble on the bench. 31-24 Detroit. And then this defense for Detroit, Domonique, took over the game.
Yeah, Lamar is stymied, and Aiden Hutchinson back-to-back highlights. He punched that ball out and then finishes, beats the slide to his side and gets pressure.
7 sacks of Lamar Jackson last night, and then play action, perfect on a 4th down. Lions were 3 for 3 on 4th downs last night. And then to close it out for that man's team, Montgomery, 151 yards rushing.
Glorious! I mean, does it get better than closing a game like this? Just take it inside what we have been doing. Now we'll bounce it outside. We'll cruise onto the end zone. Incentives, check. Let's go.
This was a statement, people. Ravens added a touchdown late, but this was a dominating performance by the Lions. They win it on the road. So week 1 seems like a lifetime ago, right? They looked like they were in real trouble. Since then, they've scored 90 points in their last 2 games. That's their most in a 2-game span since 1962. And afterwards, their locker room was fired up.
Hey, listen, we did exactly what we said we needed to do. Play complimentary freaking football, man. When we needed it most, every phase picked up the slack, man. That's how you win games against teams like that, man. And now you know what the barometer is like on the AFC.
So Dan Campbell was fired up, and Jeff Saturday fired up in the studio. Why were you so offended by the graphic?
We just talk about how they're dominating up front. We show Jared Goff 202 yards for the highlight. They ran for 225.
Yes, they did.
We're going to give the Goff all. I mean, no respect. That's why I got to show Hank Fraley. That's why, because I got to fight that fight.
I mean,
there it is again.
That's the final graphic.
Jeff.
I mean, really?
Jeff is uncomfortable with being disenfranchised.
Yes.
You'll get used to it.
I mean, a week ago, he told us we weren't even important. I mean, it just
last
no
night they
respect.
were. What statement, J-Mac? I'm counting on you to bring some seriousness to the proceeding.
What you need.
What statement did the Detroit Lions make with that win on the road last night?
They are very good. Very, very, very good. That's the basic thing that I'm going to give you.
Yeah.
When you look at this football team, I felt like last night was an identity check.
Yeah.
After week one, we questioned everything about this team. We looked at the Bears game. It's like, well, that was the Bears. Who knows? They went into Baltimore and they put a butt whooping on the Ravens. They had no answers for them running directly at them. On the defensive side of the ball, they took their best player, Lamar Jackson. Yes, you're going to throw a few touchdown passes, but we're not going to let you play your game. That's what was so impressive with the way they played last night.
Yeah. Dan Campbell has built a foundation there that can obviously withstand some things. They lose, I think, with 6 assistant coaches, including both coordinators. And look, their DNA is what it is. We are who we are. We are going to run the ball. We are going to go for it on 4th down. We're going to run some trick plays, but we're not going to run trick plays because you've got us outmanned. We're going to run trick plays because we executed our program and got to them.
That's right.
Like that's an offshoot of what we actually really do. And there's no question about it. I think when you're talking about looking at coaches and coach of the year and all that kind of stuff, he's never going to get it because high expectations for his team. But when you look at the big picture and what he has built there and its sustainability, I think that's what was on display last night.
I want to point out something about the coaching, and they approach this game like it was a playoff game, and they run these, like, I call them pocket plays. It's like plays that they have in their pocket for situations, both offensively and defensively, and that is well-coached situation. They're like, look, when we need to put the game away on defense, we're going to bring out this particular blitz or this coverage that we know is going to work. When we need to put the game away on short yardage situation, and they had multiple ones. That's why I think they approached this game like it was a playoff must-win situation, and they outcoached the Ravens as well as out-physicaled them.
They approached their practices that way, which is what's amazing about them. I was talking earlier about the Houston Texans joint practice against them, and the Texans people that were saying, unbelievable the attention to detail, the intensity with which they practice. You can see it. Aiden Hutchinson punches the ball out. The guy who recovers it, he doesn't try and get up and run. Like, he's making sure, like, it's the little details that they're so excellent at.
Their team, the way they play, reminds me so much of the Patriots with Belichick on that defense when Brady there went on the Super Bowls, because when you got to the red zone, they were going to show you something you hadn't seen yet. You get to the goal line, they got something else, right? Like, they continually had something, to your point, in their pocket. That's what Detroit seems to do on both sides of the ball. That's how good teams close other good teams out in big games and big moments.
You like that phrase, huh? Pocket plays?
I did. I like it.
We'll
I like that. That's a new segment. That's a new segment.
Here's what I'll say also. I think it's funny the way everything works out. Like the Eagles, everyone talks about them. They're the best team in the sport, and they deserve it. They've won 19 out of 20 games and everything. Last year, the Lions were the best team in football from week 1 all the way to the very end, and they had no one left to play defense by the time we got to the end. So we sort of forgot about them a lot of this offseason. Then week 1 happens. They walked into like a meat grinder in Lambeau after they had just gotten Micah. Maybe no one was going to win in that spot that week. The Lions proved a lot last night. In the meantime, Cindy, let's look at the other side. A15, if I could put it up here, please. The Ravens have problems, and it's not about their offense. Look at the Ravens' defense. They have the #1 scoring offense in the NFL, but their defense is dead last in total yards allowed. They're second to last in points allowed per game. Domonique, do the Ravens have a serious problem with their defense?
Yeah, I mean, I think they do, honestly. Like, I think I've moved a little bit on my opinion because I remember last year at this point they were having issues with their defense, but the issues were with, like, discipline in the back end. They were giving up big plays because they were blowing coverages. That's something you can coach your way through. It's a hard thing to coach through when you're getting pushed around. The fact of the matter is, there are not a whole bunch of teams that can push the Ravens around and push anybody around. Not many teams play like this. They do have the Rams coming up in a couple of weeks. What the Rams did in that running game against the Eagles, it's going to be another test. I'm going to look to the Ravens in that game to decide how I feel about their long-term prognosis, because that's another opportunity where they're going to have to be able to be physical and stop a aggressive rushing team.
I think, too, we just applauded the Lions for the way that they adjusted. You mentioned pocket plays. For the Baltimore Ravens on the other side, like, what were their adjustments in the second half? What were their pocket plays in those moments where they had to have something to be able to go out there and execute? 224 yards on the ground. I know Nnamdi Madubuike is not out there. I know Kyle Van Noy's not out there. What are the adjustments without those guys to be able to do something different to stop what the Lions are killing you on?
Because you have to be clear, we're not talking about are the Ravens going to be good. Sure, they're going to be good. They're very good. They're much too good to not be good. And the division may have taken a big step back, right? We don't really buy the Steelers so far. Cincinnati lost their quarterback. Cleveland, we don't expect big things out of them. But that's not what we're talking about. Right. For the Ravens, it's all about winning. Even though they haven't done it, it's all about winning everything.
Absolutely.
And these things make you wonder if they can.
Yeah, when you talk about, when I look at their defense and I'm looking at their front seven right now, that's the part that concerns me the most, is that when you can't stop somebody running between the tackles and you can't create pass rush with 4-man rush, you got problems, because now you have to call defenses that are, quote, run-stuffing type defense, or you got to call blitzes to get home or get pressure. That puts your back end in trouble, and then when you do make or get past the line of scrimmage, average plays become big plays or explosive plays. So they got it. When you talk about the Ravens, it was always about physicality. And the Detroit Lions last night were by far the most physical team on both sides of the line of scrimmage. That is the most concerning part, because that's not fixable by scheme. That's fixable by getting back to the grind of how do we become what we once were. That's a stretch.
The talent on their defense is in the back end.
They're
right. Very heavily loaded with a lot of incredibly skilled players in the secondary. To be able to put more pressure on them to give the front more support is the answer. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to do it, but that is the answer.
It's an amazing stat Hembo has on the screen. I had not seen that. They had never been outrushed by more than 72 yards in a game that Lamar started. They were outrushed by almost 140 yards last night. I don't know. We consider just a quick straw poll. To me, last night was more about the Lions than it was about the Ravens. If we're talking about what did we learn last night, to me it was much more about the Lions are legit. I'm not that worried about the Ravens.
I agree, but they're playing the Chiefs next week, and if they lose that game, they're 1-3.
That's true.
And look, it is not – great teams find ways to win. In 3 of their last 4 games, going back to last year's playoffs, the Ravens are the team that found a way to lose. And they're too good for that.
All right, week 3 is now officially behind us on the week that was. Go ahead, Domonique. I will let you rejoice. What was the best performance?
Talk about it.
Oh, yeah. Isaiah Rodgers had 2 touchdowns and created 3 turnovers from the cornerback position. What's it that you say, Jeff? It's a thing of beauty. Look at him down the sideline. Nobody gonna walk my man down. He was producing as if he was a quarterback. He was adding to this team's point total with 2 touchdowns from the cornerback position. It's outrageous. And he broke up a pass in the end zone. This may be the best single game that we've ever seen a cornerback play. Outstanding.
J-Mac, what was the best play you saw this weekend?
It pains me as a DB to talk about a quarterback, but did you see what Justin Herbert did? Well, when he breaks the tackles in the backfield, he just threw a curveball on the football field. He curves this thing around Benito, gets it to the end zone, and then Keenan Allen goes up and makes an incredible catch. This is glorious.
Let's go, J-Mac.
All right, and Jeff, what was the best win of the weekend?
Oh, Browns upsetting the Packers. I mean, this was Schwartz deserves all the credit. His defense comes to play week in and week out. They flat out got after Jordan Love. It's Domonique's favorite play of the week, the fake where they end up picking this thing off.
That's great.
It was for the Browns, and to get their city back behind them and following them, this was a massive, massive game, massive win. Got to be the win of the week.
You would pick the 13-10 game.
Absolutely. Real ball.
Look, the Browns, if they had any defense at all. That defense is so good. They'll fumble late. Here's their radio call.
Jackson hands it to Henry. Ball's out. Picked up by the Lions. They've got it inside the 20-yard line. DJ Reed with the football in his hands. The Lions stripped it away from Derrick Henry. What a big turn of events, and the Lions have got it now.
King Henry's so mad he can't even sit down. Another critical fourth quarter fumble from the great Derrick Henry. In his first 9 seasons in the league, he fumbled just twice in the fourth quarter on 595 carries.
Wow, man.
He now has 2 of them this season alone, 1 in each of their losses. We'll have much more on a Monday Night Thriller as we go. But if it's Tuesday, it means it's time for Graziano and his overreactions, his outstanding column on ESPN.com that he does every Tuesday. So let's run through some of these. Graz, if someone were to say Daniel Jones will be in the MVP conversation this season, is that an overreaction?
The definition of a week 3 overreaction. Like, look, I mean, yeah, absolutely. If the voting were happening right now, we'd be talking about it. But you get to the end of the season, like, he's got to stay healthy. They've got to keep winning. And you got to get into the voters' minds as a legit candidate. That's hard to do. Yeah. Sam Darnold last year got 3 fifth-place votes and finished 10th after the year he had. It's tough to crack into that Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes tier, and it should be. And I think what they'll use to downgrade this is, well, Jonathan Taylor's really the MVP of the team.
Because guys like him are wet blankets. That's exactly what this is. That's why he's nicknamed the wet blanket, because he wants to crush everybody's day. And Dan understands.
No one calls me
this
that.
is sustainable.
No one calls me that.
Because he's averaging 9 yards a clip.
Yeah.
9 yards.
Great.
You gave him that name. That's why it's sticking with him.
No one calls you that to your face.
He is
He's legitimately playing great, is the point.
He is 9 yards a throw. Like this guy, he's got 800 yards in 3 games. It's a 4,000 yard season if that
great
goes.
Story. The teams they've beaten are 1-8.
They beat the Bills. Then you're going to be talking different.
That would change a lot of things.
That would change it all.
Let's get to the next one, though. Let's talk about a different
Jones.
quarterback. C.J. Stroud of the Texans,
Yeah,
they're a bad-looking 0-3. So if people are saying that guy may have peaked in his rookie season, is that an overreaction?
Yes, and it's mean. I mean, this is a young quarterback who's shown us that he can operate at a high level. What's gone wrong in Houston has a lot more to do with the group around C.J. Stroud than it does with C.J. Stroud. Now, he looks a little dispirited, which we really didn't see last year, and that is alarming. But look, they change out the offensive line, but did they make it better?
Nope.
Do they have a good second option in the pass game other than Nico Collins?
Nope.
Do they have any run game whatsoever?
Nope.
I think they have to do better with the infrastructure around C.J. Stroud before we can judge him.
I think you're absolutely right, but he is playing poorly right now, and I think it's a result of that infrastructure is starting to make him regress some. So I think that they are in a situation where they're starting to ruin a very, very good young quarterback.
It's worth reminding everyone they won a playoff game last year, right? I know it's an awful start.
Yeah.
They won a playoff game last year. One more, Graz. If someone said, yeah, the Eagles are 3-0, but they need to throw the ball more, is that an overreaction?
No, it's not. They have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. I mean, like, if teams are geared up to stop Saquon Barkley, there is nothing wrong with the Eagles and their Super Bowl MVP quarterback throwing it downfield to these monster receivers. It doesn't all have to be avoid risk, tush push. I mean, people are paying for these tickets and parking and want to be entertained.
That is exactly hate in his heart, right?
I mean, why? It's supposed to be fun.
If you're the Philadelphia Eagles, why would you do a more risky proposition and probably lose more than stay and do less risk and win more? They've won 19 of 20 games, and you want them to change? That is insane.
People are stopping Saquon.
Let me show you. Put it back up, Cindy. Sorry. Let me just explain exactly what it is you're looking at. In their first 5 halves of the season this year, they were winning. Then in the second half of this past game, they needed Jalen Hurts to get it going. It's not about style points. It's not about, we're not ranking them in the BCS or anything like that. It's about winning. But what I do wonder about sometimes is they have as good an array of weapons as any team in the National Football League, and they only seem to use them when they absolutely have to.
And I think that's what you saw in the second half was like, hey, you guys are better than the Rams. Like, you definitely could have lost this game. It was kind of a miraculous fluke that you got 2 blocked field goals to win that game. Yeah. And I think I know you feel like you're defending the Eagles, but I think even Eagles fans are watching this like, we're winning, but they're whispering behind, they're like, but can we go ahead and blow teams out like we did last year?
To be clear, they're not whispering anything. They got booed off the field at halftime.
They're not whisperers.
That's fair point.
They're an undefeated Super Bowl champion, and they got booed off their own field at halftime of the game on Sunday because it's not easy to. And then they do this, Jeff, and they're spectacular.
Okay, I appreciate how spectacular it was, but let's remember this: the same thing that Detroit faced, the Eagles are facing. This is now the 3rd OC in 3 years. People are going to poach your staff. So now you have you're trying to figure it out. And to go ask, and these guys know it. They're not going to say it, but they know it. If a team can run the ball effectively and find ways to win, why put yourself in risk? They didn't want to hurt themselves.
That's the thing.
They're 3-0.
But they aren't running the ball effectively.
Well, no. But I'm saying with less risk and the win totals that they're stacking up, you're not just going to go out there and wing it. I'm just telling you.
Why are you paying 2 receivers a combined $57 million a year
need it,
to block?
Because when you need it, they're there. That's why.
My thing is, to Graz's point, when you have a quarterback that can you go out there and you let him do that. teams that run the ball and you don't risk it is because you don't trust your quarterback to make the right decisions and put the ball in his hands too much. They have a guy who can do that in Jalen Hurts. You come out and you throw the ball a little bit earlier in games when we looked at the first 5 halves, that opens up opportunities for Saquon Barkley. We don't have to wait for him to be shut down to average 2 yards a carry to then start throwing the ball, going no huddle and things like that.
Here, Dan, to me, here's how I would frame this. The conversation sounds silly because they're 3-0 and they've won all these games. But if they don't block both those field goals on Sunday, this conversation feels very different.
If CeeDee Lamb doesn't drop a pass in week 1, I mean, they're good for them. They know how to win games. They can win small margin games. Yes, but that's tough. They did that early in the season in 2023, and then the whole thing fell apart.
They also did it last year and won the whole thing. So they find ways. Yeah,
I think you know this, Jeff, from your days of coaching, you got to create explosive plays.
For sure.
Last year they were creating those plays through the running game.
Right.
If they're not going to create them through the running game, they're going to have to throw the ball, or they're going to have more losses this year.